AITJ for not punishing my son because he doesn't want to be around his sister who constantly snitches on him. I 38M have two kids, Mark 13M and Lily 11F. To give some context, Lily is really spoiled by my wife, Sarah 37F. Ever since Lily was little, Sarah has been overly indulgent with her, letting her stay up late, buying her whatever she wants, and pretty much excusing all of her behavior, no matter what. It's made Lily feel entitled, especially when it comes to Mark. He doesn't have much respect for his privacy and constantly tattles on him for the smallest things, knowing her mom will take her side. At first, it was small stuff. Mark didn't make his bed or Mark stayed up too late, but over time, it escalated. She started reporting anything that seemed even a little bit off. Mark didn't say hi to me when he got home, or Mark left his shoes in the hallway. It's like Lily has a mental list of everything Mark does wrong, and no matter how trivial, she runs straight to Sarah to tell on him. Mark is 13 and, like most teens, values his privacy and independence. He spends time with his friends and is starting to navigate more personal parts of his life. But Lily, with her constant monitoring, makes it impossible for him to have any space. There's no escaping it. And the real breaking point for Mark came when Lily somehow found out about his crush on a girl at school. I honestly don't know how she found out. Mark didn't tell her, and he definitely didn't want her to know. He was on the phone with a friend, but Lily must have overheard something. The next thing he knew, Lily was making comments about it, like, "So, you like that girl, huh?" Mark was mortified. He hadn't shared that with anyone, let alone his 11-year-old sister. And then, of course, Lily went around telling all their friends at school. Mark felt completely humiliated. When Mark tried to talk to Sarah about it, she dismissed his feelings, telling him to stop being dramatic. That's when Mark decided he needed space. He couldn't take it anymore. So, he started avoiding Lily as much as possible. The issue really came to a head the other day. I came home from work and saw Mark sitting on the couch with Lily. They were watching a show, and I thought maybe they were getting along. But then I realized they were watching a show Lily liked, not one they both enjoyed. Lily was bossing Mark around about how he should be watching it or how he was sitting too far from the TV. Mark got frustrated and stormed off to his room. Lily, of course, immediately started crying, but it was so obviously fake. I could see right through it. She ran to Sarah, saying Mark was being mean to her, and that's when Sarah went upstairs to talk to Mark. I stopped her before she could go up, telling her I'd handle it. I went upstairs to check on Mark, and he finally opened up to me. He told me that it wasn't just about the show, it was everything. He couldn't trust Lily anymore because of her constant snitching and invading his privacy. He told me he was tired of being made to feel like he was in the wrong, no matter what he did. The final straw was Lily outing his crush to everyone at school. He said he couldn't have any peace or privacy when she was always watching him and reporting back to Sarah. Now, Mark is refusing to be around Lily. He's 13, and he deserves to have some space. But Sarah is pushing me to punish him for ignoring her, saying he's being mean to Lily by not spending time with her. She's even giving me the silent treatment now. She's upset that I'm not backing her up on this and that I'm not punishing Mark for not getting along with Lily. Every time I try to talk to her, she shuts down, won't engage, and just gives me the cold shoulder. Honestly, I'm feeling caught in the middle. I understand Sarah wants them to get along, but I don't think Mark should be forced to spend time with Lily if it's just going to be another situation where she invades his privacy and tattles on him. He needs boundaries, and he needs to be able to have a private life, especially as a teenager. But it feels like Sarah doesn't see it that way. She thinks I'm being too lenient with Mark and not holding him accountable. So, AITJ for not punishing my son for wanting space from his sister, especially after she found out about his crush and made it public, and after my wife started giving me the silent treatment. My 13-year-old son, Mark, is constantly being tattled on by his 11-year-old sister, Lily, who's spoiled by my wife, Sarah. Lily invaded Mark's privacy by telling everyone about his crush, and now Mark is avoiding her. Sarah is upset. thinks I should punish Mark for not getting along with Lily, and is giving me the silent treatment. I don't think Mark should be punished for wanting space, but Sarah insists he's being mean to her, AITJ, for not punishing him. Update first. I want to thank everyone again for your comments, even the harsh ones. They made me take a long, hard look at this situation and realize just how much it's been affecting Mark and our family as a whole. I decided to have a serious conversation with Sarah about her favoritism toward Lily and how it's been hurting Mark. I explained how dismissing Mark's feelings and excusing Lily's behavior has created a toxic environment where Mark feels unsupported and disrespected. I brought up specific examples, like Lily outing his crush and how it humiliated him, and her constant tattling that makes him feel like he has no privacy. Unfortunately, the conversation didn't go as I hoped. Sarah completely denied showing favoritism and instead started doubling down, saying that Mark was just being a bad child and that his avoidance of Lily was mean and immature. She kept defending her actions, saying she's only trying to keep the peace and make them get along, but it was clear she wasn't willing to acknowledge her role in the problem. No matter how much I tried to stay calm and explain where I was coming from, she refused to see my point of view. Eventually, I realized we weren't getting anywhere, and I didn't want the conversation to escalate into a fight. So, I left the room and went upstairs to talk to Mark instead. When I got to Mark's room, I sat down with him and told him the truth, that I love him and that I know things have been unfair to him. I admitted that I haven't done enough to protect him from the situation with his mom and sister, and I promised him that I'm going to do better. I told him I see how much he's been hurting and that his feelings are valid, even if not everyone in the house is acknowledging them right now. Mark seemed surprised but relieved. He told me how much it's been weighing on him and how alone he's felt lately. It broke my heart to hear how much he's been holding in, but I reassured him that he's not alone and that I'm in his corner. Told him I'd work on fixing the issues with Sarah and Lily, but in the meantime, I'm going to make sure he feels supported and respected. I know this is only the beginning, and it's going to take time and effort to fix what's been broken. But I refuse to let Mark feel like he's second best in his own home anymore. He deserves better, and I'm committed to giving him that.
AITA for leaving a party because my date refused to get me water. I had been seeing someone I met through mutual friends. We'd had good times one-on-one, and when he invited me to events with his friends, I contribute to the group dynamic by never showing up empty-handed and offering to grab drinks for others. Fast forward to a holiday-themed party with his friends. My date and I plan to meet there and hang out afterward. I spent the day cleaning my condo and preparing mulled wine to bring. During the party, people were getting drinks for one another, including me when I served the wine. At one point, I was sitting on the couch, blocked in by only my date on one side and many others on my other side. I was tired and didn't feel like tightly squeezing past people I didn't know, so I asked my date if he could grab me a glass of water. He shook his head, and after I said her, he said, "No, I was just up, and you could have asked before I sat down again." I was taken aback because I view small gestures, like grabbing water, as basic acts of care for friends, but especially for someone you're dating. That moment, combined with a long day of preparation, left me feeling drained. Since the party was winding down and I didn't have the energy to engage further, I said my goodbyes and called a ride. My date offered to walk me out and said he felt hurt that I was leaving. I explained I needed to recharge, but that he was welcome to come over after the party. As we walked out, I jokingly mentioned how him not getting me water surprised me. He replied, "Wow, that really upset you, huh?" I have to be guarded about these things, you know? Later, we texted, but he seemed more upset about me leaving than interested in listening to why I felt drained. When I tried to call, he didn't answer. His texts were curt, and I eventually told him I'd let him decompress. 2 days later, I called to discuss what happened. He said he'd call that evening but didn't reach out until 3 days later, saying, "I'm not dodging you. I've just been busy. At that point, I was over it, especially since he never acknowledged the misunderstanding or my attempts to resolve it. A month later, we finally had a conversation. He explained that getting me water felt subservient and was something I had to earn through time and being in the trenches with him. He also said I didn't understand how busy his life was. For context, I work multiple jobs. I calmly explained that grabbing water for someone isn't about being subservient, but a small act of kindness.